What does BYOB mean? What does it mean to be your own banker and get traditional banks out of your life? What does it mean to take back control of your money? What does it mean to take advantage of uninterrupted compounding interest? So that's all things that we're going to talk about. All right, so here we go. So tonight we're going to talk about money and opportunity because at the end of the day, that's what this is solving. It's solving your money problem, whether you know you have one or not. And unfortunately, the majority of people have a money problem in this country that we're going to talk about. But what are we facing right now today? So today's April 26th, 2022. What is the stock market doing? What have we seen in the stock market really all year this year, but really has been drastic over the last few days that the market's been open? What's been going on with the stock market? Has anybody been following it? Yes, it's fluctuating. Volatility. We're seeing large swings up and down. I think we had a 900 point jump and closed 800 and some points down today. I think we closed about 700 and some points down yesterday, but we're starting to see things come down. And there's multiple reasons why that's happening. Over the last 18 months, we've printed something like $8 to $9 trillion. We have sent a lot of money out to people. We've kind of disrupted the supply chains in the world due to global pandemics and other things happening. And the Fed has really made money very easy and very free. So the Fed overnight rate's been zero. We've been able to get mortgages in the 3% range for a while now, and getting loans very, very cheap. It's very easy for business to borrow money, for people to borrow money, and money's just been flowing. However, when that happens, it causes what? It causes inflation. And we're going to talk about that tonight. But inflation right now is the highest it's ever been in my lifetime. So I'm 39 years old, and we haven't seen 8.5 inflation with producer inflation in the double digits since before I was born. So that's what we're facing right now in the economy. So there's a couple things that we need to understand when it comes to that. So first off, money sitting right now because of record low interest rates and because of record high inflation. That means money sitting right now in a savings account, in a money market account, in a checking account, under your mattress, whatever. Money sitting right now is losing a lot of money. There's no growth in savings accounts and checking accounts right now. And with inflation running wild, we're losing a lot of money that's just sitting. So it's very important that we start storing our wealth in places that it's growing for us, that we're taking advantage of tax laws that I'm going to talk about tonight, and that we keep, more importantly, we keep that money moving at all times, because money in motion is making more money. Money sitting still is losing money. So this is very important. And not only that, but we also need to start looking at setting ourselves up for what is going to be happening coming in the near future. And what I mean by that is, in the near future, we're going to see a lot of changes happen in the United States as far as the economy goes and the markets go. So where the stock market, a lot of economists are saying, the people that I study and I follow and that I research, and my opinion is, we're going to see a hefty pullback in the stock market. So what we're experiencing right now with some of this volatility and some of these 700-800 point drops in a day, I think we're going to see more and more of this. And I think we're going to see a pretty strong pullback over the next year or two. And nobody can time the markets. So all we need to understand is it's coming. So what do we do right now to prepare for it? Because we're never going to time it perfectly, but the timing right now is perfect to prepare and set ourselves up for what is to come. Because when we see stock markets pull back, when we see interest rates shoot through the roof, what's going to happen with the housing market? Odds are the housing market is also going to either slow down drastically, pull back a little bit, or maybe even see a bit of a downfall in the housing market as well. Although I do think that's going to be a trailing indicator. That's not what we're here. But the point is because of everything that's going to be happening, it's going to cause some turmoil in the country. It's going to cause, I believe, some harder times, reminiscent even maybe to like 2008. If you guys, that was the most recent pullback that we saw, and then earlier in history, the dot-com bust, the Great Recession, things like that, the Great Depression, even back 30. So we might see some stuff like that happening. And if that happens, it's going to cause a lot of opportunities. Okay. It's going to cause a lot of heartache. It's going to cause a lot of financial trouble for people, and it's going to cause a lot of problems. But for those of us that are understand that it's coming, those of us that are position ourselves in a way and position our money in a way to take advantage of it, it's going to create a lot of opportunities for us. Okay. And the most recent example I can give to you of that is go talk to somebody that owns a lot of real estate. Talk to a Chris Noggle, talk to the people that I am partners with, talk with people that were in real estate back then, and they were buying real estate in 2010, 2011, 2012. I mean, we were just looking at a house we bought in 2012 for $15,000 that just sold for $98,000. And these houses are, I could give you example over example over example. So over the last 10 years, these properties have provided a nice income to us, right? Nice income coming in through rents. And then we were able to, in certain situations, 8, 9, 10x our money initial investment by selling at the peak of the market. And then what are we doing right now? We're selling, right? But we're getting into smarter investments that are paying 10, 12% returns through things like the private money club, through private money lending, through different investments like that. So we're keeping our money moving, making more money. We're storing our wealth in these policies, and I'm going to teach you tonight how to do. And then we're getting ready. So then when the property prices come back down and the stock market comes back down and everything goes on sale, our cash is going to be available, our money is going to be available, and our wealth, so we can go in and buy again at low prices, rise it back up, make money along the way, and then who knows, maybe sell again when this happens again. And that's just the history of markets. And we talk about this all the time. Tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, we're going to be doing WTF, what the F happened. We do it every Wednesday morning, just talking about the markets, history, what's going on. Wealth webinars we do every Wednesday. That's all we talk about is this stuff. So I'm not going to get into it a lot right now. This is for the infinite banking concept, but I just want you guys to understand the opportunities that are going to be in the near future for us in the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and what we need to be doing right now to protect that money and get ready for that. So this stuff's very, very important, especially if you've been around investing for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You guys have seen it, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, investing, and money, there's something that I was fortunate to learn at a young age. And that was the importance of mentors and coaches. Because when you work for yourself and you run a business, and it's very easy to get in, just like having a job, just like everyday life, really. It's easy to get into a rhythm, and it's easy to kind of get not stale, because you're always having to push and drive to succeed in business, and especially investing and things like real estate. But you really need somebody that can introduce you to new ideas and new strategies, and you're in it every single day. So somebody that kind of sit back and say, you know what, there's other things that maybe you could be doing that will help you improve and grow your business and scale your business and take your business and your money and your investing and your finances to the next level. And for me, Brent Kessler and Chris Noggle were two of those people in my most recent past that were able to do this for me. Because before I met Chris and ultimately Brent Kessler, I had been in real estate, I had been investing, I'd been in consulting for over 10 years. And I thought I knew everything. I was a personal financial advisor at a college. I flipped that into real estate investing, into speaking and coaching and training, and growing businesses in that space, and done a couple other businesses over the years, which I won't talk about right now. But I kind of thought I knew everything about investing and about business and entrepreneurship. And when I got first introduced to the infinite banking concept, I literally thought it was just in the money multiplier, I literally just thought it was like kind of a gimmicky thing. It was just like, oh, this is kind of just something that people, we can talk about, that's kind of sounds cool, but it's nothing new. Like, this is stuff that, anybody can do this. And once I paid attention and actually watched this presentation I'm doing tonight, and the 90-minute presentation a lot of you watched either from Chris or Brent, and I watched it a couple times, I was like, oh, wow, like this actually is something new. And this is something that is very, very powerful. And how the hell was I never introduced to this before? So I started asking people. I called up some of my other mentors, some of my mentors from the past, some of my business partners from the past, people I've known for a long time in the space. And they're like, oh yeah, we've had these policies for years. We've been using these and being our own bank for years. And I was like, well, how the hell did I never know about it? Or why didn't you guys ever tell me about it? And it's one of those things where you're just in your everyday grind and things like that might go over your head. And it's like that even with a job, right? Oh, I didn't know I could invest my money outside of a 401k. I didn't know I could control my retirement money, things like that, right? You just don't understand it, what you don't know. And so Brent Kessler, just so you guys know, Brent is the founder and owner of the Money Multiplier. So Brent is the one who created not the infinite banking concept. That's been around for over 200 years using these policies this way. But Brent is the founder of the Money Multiplier and created this presentation and the entire system and ecosystem that we have and that we work with, and the team that helps our clients every single day be able to do this. So a lot of credit to Brent Kessler, one of the hardest working guys I've known and ever met. And I will love him forever into the future. And then Chris Noggle, you guys all know Chris, and there's not enough strong and loving words I can say for Chris either. But when I first met Chris, this is one of the first things that I saw that he was talking about. It's never about your actual resources. It's about how resourceful you can be. And that right there, that one little sentence, is that two sentences? One sentence? I don't know. One sentence. I'm not an English major. That one saying right there is one of the most powerful things that anybody can realize, because you can have all the money in the world, but you can still be broke. Happens all the time. I talk to people all the time that are making $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 a year, and they're broke. The money comes in, the money goes right out. They don't have anything to show for it at the end of the day, right? Or you can literally be broke, but it doesn't matter, because if you have the drive, if you have the will to want to make something change, you want to make a change in your life and do something different, you can. And this system can help you do that. You can be $1 million in debt right now. And this system I'm sharing with you this evening will help you get out of that debt quicker than you ever thought possible. And if you're making a lot of money right now and you're sick of all that money just going right out as you make it, then you need to pay attention, because I'm going to show you how to turn all those debts, expenses, and outflow into savings and wealth here right now tonight. So no matter what side of the spectrum you're sitting here watching this right now, it doesn't matter. This will benefit you and your family and your family's family and create a legacy for you, no matter where you're starting right now today. So very, very important stuff right there. And if you guys don't know Chris, if you're brand new to this, just go to chrisnoggle.com and you can see everything that we're all about and what we do. And this is one of my favorite quotes that Chris also introduced me to. The problem in America isn't so much what people don't know, it's what people think they know that just ain't so. So think about that for a minute. Think about that as we go here tonight over the next hour or so, and what that means. And think to yourself at the end of this, man, was I like Steven and thought I knew everything? And is this something new? And it's just amazing when you start opening your mind to what's available out there and what you just don't know, and opening your mind to that stuff. It's amazing the doors that it opens and what you're able to do and succeed with. So with that being said, I really think that one of the challenges that we have in this country is just that this stuff's beat into us. And you guys have heard me say this over and over before, but we're told our entire lives, go get a job, invest in a 401k, save your money. Like Ramsey says, invest term and invest there, buy term and invest the difference. Just all this stuff that doesn't create true wealth. And it shows, because right now we have, I don't know, we have well over 100 people on, but let's say we have 100 people on here right now. If I was to say 5 of you right now, raise your hands. Those 5, according to the Social Security Administration, would be the only 5 people out of this group of 100 people right now that would be able to retire the lifestyle and the way that they want to. So what does that mean? That means that 95% of people in this country, according to the Social Security Administration, are not going to be able to retire the way and the lifestyle that they want to. And I can attest to this personally, because when I was a financial advisor, my job was to meet with people and talk with them about retirement. So they would tell me their hopes and dreams. They would tell me, oh, we want to retire at age 62 or at age 55 or at age 65. And we want to have a mountain home and a condo on the beach. And we want to have no debts. And we want to be able to go out and have dinners and travel the world and go on river cruises and own timeshares and all these exotic locations. And almost everybody's story was the same. We want to be able to pay for our kids' college education. We want to be able to take care of them and all of this stuff. And the hopes and dreams are amazing. And that was the fun part about being a financial advisor. But then what was the next part of that conversation? Okay, those are your goals. So how are we going to get there? What do you have right now in place? What are you doing right now to achieve those goals, to be able to retire in that lifestyle at that age? And when we actually looked at where they are now and where they need to go, the disconnect was so far off. It was almost disheartening. Like, it was the depressing part of my job as a financial advisor. Now, keep in mind, as a new financial advisor, I wasn't meeting with high net worth accredited investors that have millions of dollars put away. I was meeting with the 95%. I was meeting with the people that are everyday people that are just looking to do something better. And so it was a tough conversation because that's just the way of the world. So the Social Security Administration shows it. And if I had to look back on it, I would say well over 9 out of 10 people that I met with were in that situation that just wasn't realistic. And it was hard because of that. Yeah, Ian, this is recorded and it will be available afterwards as well. So that was the tough part. So then I would have to have the conversation with that client. Well, to achieve your hopes and dreams and retire that way, you're going to need to drastically change the lifestyle that you're doing right now. So you're going to have to cut back on going out to eat all the time. You're going to have to cut back on the spending that you're doing. You have to cut back on starting that business that you wanted to start, or you're going to have to push back retirement age. So instead of at age 60, you're going to have to work till you're 70 years old. And that's if everything goes well with the stock market. That was before 2008 hit, which I know a lot of people really got effed in 2008 and lost everything that they thought that they had ready and prepared to do. So it was a tough conversation, right? And at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why I just didn't love being a financial advisor. It's one of the reasons when I learned about, hey, as an investor in real estate, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I can control my future. I can make things happen and get to where I want to be. And then when you start down that journey of financial education, what else do you learn about? Those of you that have been on a financial education journey for the past year or two, a lot of times it happens this way. It happened this way for me. First, I learned about real estate investing, and then I learned about taxes. Holy shit. You mean I can make 100 grand and pay 5 grand in taxes and not 40 grand like I was as a W-2 employee? Like, holy cow, like I can save all this money. Wow. Depreciation. Wow. I can write off this stuff. I can write off that stuff. Like all these advantages and laws that are made for entrepreneurs, for investors, for the wealthy, right? However, you don't have to be wealthy to take advantage of this stuff. A good friend of mine, Solomon Holamani, who will be in Daytona next weekend, he's the one who said it. He said there's 2 tax laws in this country, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. Both are legal. Think about that for a minute. Which one are you taking advantage of? So stuff like that right there is so very, very important. And then you learn about, oh, there's tax laws. Oh, wow. There's all kinds of laws I can take advantage of where I can put my money on these places and grow it tax-free. Wow. I can invest and I can make millions of dollars and I can pay no taxes ever on any of that. Oh, I can put my money in somewhere that I'm showing you here tonight where it's going to grow tax-free for the rest of my life. All that money will go tax-free to my kid, my child, my son, and anybody else that's important in my life when I pass away. Oh, and by the way, along the way, I can use that money to continue to invest in my business, in my investments, create passive income. And then you learn about passive income. Holy shit, I don't even have to work and I can have money coming in on a regular basis to fund my lifestyle. So when you go down this financial education journey, you start learning about all this stuff. You start learning about all this new stuff and it just becomes very, very fun. So, that was my journey. I don't know if any of you guys have had something similar like that, but that's what this is all about is, taking one step. My dad actually taught me this. He said, anything you do in life, you're never going to be a professional at it immediately. You're never going to be an expert at it immediately. I mean, I was big in sports as a kid. When I was younger, I played a lot of sports. And in sports, you need a team, you need a coach, you need hard work, you need a drive, and you need to practice all the time and get better and better and better. And I think of that a lot in business. and in investing, because it's all the same. If you're not constantly practicing what you're doing, you're never going to get better at it, right? So what my dad used to say is you need to crawl before you can walk. You need to walk before you can run. And then once you're up and running, you can go and do marathons and you can accomplish anything out there. So you got to start somewhere with your journey. And for those of you that are new to this here tonight, thank you for being here and starting your journey with myself and the Money Multiplier team. So there's a number of reasons that I found over the years why people are not more successful. We'll just hit on these real fast. I just mentioned taxes. I mentioned inflation earlier. And that's a huge one right now. Obviously, volatility, that's the ups and downs of the markets. Following the status quo, like I said earlier, what we've been told our entire lives, do this, do that. Yeah, you're listening to 95% of people that are never going to be successful. Stop listening to those people. Fear. How many of you learned about something like investing or something like this, like 10, 20 years ago, and you said to yourself, well, I don't know about that. That's just something that's not really in my wheelhouse. I don't understand it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You should not invest unless you understand, but why did you not learn about it then? So fear is really overcome easily by education, by support. So that's nothing. Like, forget about that. And then life, shit happens in life. You get divorced, you lose a job. There's, a COVID happens and close down 70% of small business, whatever, like stuff happens in life. So I know these are excuses, or I consider them excuses, and to an extent that's true. But I do understand also that things do happen. But I do believe that if you are prepared, if you have support in place, if you have the right education, I do believe these are just excuses. And I believe that every single one of you can overcome them. And I think every single one of you that's here right now can start overcoming every one of these right now tonight, because I'm going to teach you exactly how to overcome all of it right now tonight. So it'll just be up to you. And this is stuff, guys, this is not new. This is stuff that's been being taught for what I'm teaching right now has been used for over 200 years. The tax code in this country has only been around since the 1930s. So this has been being used for a long, long time. This is not anything new. Maybe it's new for you, but this is nothing new. This is nothing new at all. And it's guaranteed to work, and it's guaranteed to work for every single one of you if you're willing to go out there and do that. And one thing I wanted to mention right here. So this is a screenshot from a video. So if you go to YouTube and type in the backwards bicycle, go to YouTube and type in the backwards bicycle and watch this video after this tonight. Watch this. This video is just a great example of how when we're programmed and told something our entire lives, it's very hard to do something differently. So right now, all of your money flows into banks. All of your money flows into 401ks. All of your money flows into savings accounts. And then it goes right out, right? So what I'm going to show you here tonight, I'm going to tell you to do different. Instead of putting it into those places, I'm going to tell you to flow it through somewhere else, okay? But you're going to fight me on that. Why? Because our whole lives we've been told to use banks, to put our money in savings, to put our money in 401ks, and over and over. And this is a great example of that right there. So check out the backwards bicycle. And what this guy did is he did an experiment. He took a bicycle and he simply reversed the handlebars. So we've rode our bike our whole life. You hop on that thing and you just, without even thinking, you know how to ride it. You can, if you learn how to ride a bike when you were a kid, you didn't ride a bike for 20 years, you hop back on that thing, your mind immediately remembers how to do it. That's why that old saying of, it's like riding a bicycle, you always remember how to do it. And that's money. We've been programmed our whole lives in money. But what they did is they reversed this thing. So when you go to turn regular, like you've done your whole life, now it turns the other way and you wreck and you fall and you crashed and you say, what the hell? I don't know how to ride a bike anymore. And he talks all about the psychology behind it. And it's a really, really cool video. So go check that out right there. And let me ask you this real fast before I move on. They then took this bicycle and they took a kid that did not know how to ride a bicycle. They were just learning, and they hopped on this backwards bicycle. And guess what happened? They picked up on it just like that, because they hadn't been told their whole lives on how that bicycle works. So when they learned it backwards, to them, that was normal, right? So if you can learn this stuff, so what I'm going to show you guys here tonight, I want you to think to yourselves, do you have kids? Do you have young people in your life? Do you have nieces and nephews and people that are important to you that are younger that you could share this stuff with? Because what if what I'm showing you here tonight, you were able to implement when someone implemented it for you when you were 2 years old, 5 years old, when you were 18 years old, when you were in your 20s. I do this all day, every day. And I talk to people on the phone all day, every day. The number one thing I hear all day, every day is, man, I wish I would have started this sooner. I wish I would have learned about this 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So you guys think about that as we go here this evening. So these are just some good books, kind of go back on just always being able to feed your mind with the right information. And just the fact that this is nothing new. This stuff's been talked about and used for a very, very long time. So this book right here, Robert Kiyosaki, you guys know Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I used to train with Robert Kiyosaki. I used to teach his Rich Dad, Poor Dad cash flow quadrant system. And I think that he's a genius. Just the way he talks about it, the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think is amazing. But in this book right here, Second Chance, he talks all about the infinite banking concept, what I'm talking about right now tonight. Tony Robbins in the book Money Master the Game talks all about the infinite banking concept. Two really good books right there too. If you guys are looking for book recommendations, write those ones down. Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. This is like the Bible right here. If you guys can see it, it's kind of blurring out my screen, but this is like the Bible right now of infinite banking. And it's R. Nelson Nash is kind of like the godfather of modern day infinite banking and how things work. So definitely buy that book and read it or listen to it. That's a must if you're going down this journey. And then Chris and Brent wrote kind of an updated version of Becoming Your Own Banker. And you can get the hard version. Actually, anybody that emails me, I said, if you guys want to schedule a call, just email me. And I'll put my email in here right now. And anybody that wants to schedule a call with me, I'll send you my calendar link. But if you want a copy of Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, and I got a couple other bonuses I can give you guys. The Private Money Guide, I'll send you that one on a digital version too. So I'll send you guys some bonuses just for being here tonight. So just email me, snaggy@themoneymultiplier.com. I'll send you those digital books. I'll send you a link to schedule a call with me so we can talk more. And I'll send you some other bonuses and resources also that'll really be helpful for your financial journey and learning about infinite banking and everything that we're doing. So shoot me an email and I'll send that stuff over to you for free just for being here tonight. But those are really good books right there. And some other ones that I would recommend, How Privatized Banking Really Works by Carlos Lara and Robert Murphy. This is a good one right here. Building Your Warehouse of Wealth by Nelson Nash. The Case for IBC. That's another really, really good book. And I could go on, but a lot of really, really good books that I would recommend checking out as you guys start your journey. So one more time for anybody just hopping on, I am Stephen Nagy. I work hand in hand with Chris Noggle and Brent Kessler and the Money School and the Money Multiplier. However, out of college, like I mentioned, I was a financial advisor, got into real estate investing and entrepreneurship. This was in the late 2000s. Have been doing it now for the last 15 years, trained over thousands of people across all 50 states, but actually traveled to and taught in 47 states, as well as a couple of countries. And I do live down in Southeast Florida in the Jupiter area, which is in northern Palm Beach County. And yes, I am infamously known as Snaggy. And time flies. If any of you guys have children or families or even just live life, time flies. And it's something as I get older and older, it really becomes more and more like there. You know what I mean by that? I mean, this picture right here was taken like a couple of years ago, and it feels like it was done yesterday, but my son is 6.5 years old now, and he literally looks nothing like that. It's just incredible how quickly he's changed. I like to think I look younger and younger every year, but anyways, it's our nice little life down here. And if you guys follow me on Facebook, just find me, Stephen Nagy. I'm one of the only ones on there. So if you find me on Facebook, I'm always posting fun things that we're doing in town and out on the boat and at the beach and stuff like that. So, feel free to give me a follow or friend me on there, and we can definitely stay in touch that way also. So here we go. Let's get into a little bit about money and the infinite banking concept. All right, let's see. So there's some review of what we just talked about for anybody that was just hopping on right now. So what is the definition of money? Do you guys know what the definition of money is? In the chat box, anybody? While you guys are answering that, reading over the chat box. Yeah, Andrew Jackson definitely hated the banks. Let's see. Yeah, a means to an end. Yeah, it's true. So actually a guy that I was just at a power room with last week, he has a podcast called Money Is. And what is money to you? Money is blank. Money is, I love what Todd just said, time. Money is energy. Energy is a really good one. Um, Somebody was saying there, money is love. I kind of like that one, but money is energy. I really think because what you can do with it is just is so much. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's just a means of exchange, right? So I give you something, you give me something back. That's basically money, just an exchange of value. So yeah, I love some of these answers. Freedom and family, fiat. Yeah, right now it's fiat currency. That's not necessarily money. Money is a tool. Money, it's permission. Volume, money is universal. Yeah, absolutely. It's universal because it's simply a means of exchange. Money is gold and silver. Everything is fiat. I love that, PD. Yeah, we do. We're doing a lot in the precious metal space right now, gold and silver also. Enabler. I love it, guys. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just simply money is means for exchange. So companies that use compound interest, there's actually no companies in this country that take advantage of compound interest. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight. Are your dollars worth more today or in the future? Because of inflation, your dollars are worth more today than ever before. Taxes up and down. Taxes are down. Taxes always goes up, right? So it's basically the question, why are we putting our money places and deferring paying taxes? It's a great example of a 401k. We're putting our money tax deferred into a 401k, so we don't have to pay taxes today. But when we pay those taxes later, when we take the money out, we're going to pay taxes then. And if taxes are always going up, then what the hell are we doing, right? What do you know about your retirement account? Exactly. Who's in control of your retirement account? Not you. All right. So let me give you an example of the power of money and a little mystery of money that I just want to dispel right here. So here's the $1 million question. Can you make money earning 4% while paying, well, that slide didn't work for me, did it? You guys kind of saw the answer there. While paying 6%. I got to fix that. Oh, here we go. All right. Sorry. If you guys saw the answer, just ignore it. But here we go. Can you make money paying 6% and earning 4%? So here we go. Let's say that you were to go to the bank right now. I'm just going to explain this to you guys really easily in terms that you can understand. Let's say you go to the bank right now and you have $25,000 sitting in your bank account and you are about to pull that money out of your bank to buy a car for $25,000. However, you get to that bank and your banker, let's pretend I'm your banker. I say, hey, John, instead of you pulling that $25,000 out of the bank to buy that car, let's leave the $25,000 in your savings account to use it as collateral. And while it sits there, I'm going to be the best banker in all of 2022 with the best bank ever, because when your $25,000 is sitting in that savings account, I'm going to pay you 4% on your money while it's sitting in that savings account. I'm going to pay you 4% of your money. And then I'm going to give you a loan for $25,000 to go buy that car. And I'm going to, charge you 6% on that loan, on that $25,000 to go buy that car. How many of you would do that right there? So you're thinking to yourself right now, well, I'm earning 4%, but I'm paying the banker 6%. That dirty banker, the bankers are always in it for themselves. They always want to make money off of me. There's no way I'm going to borrow my money at 6% when you're only paying me 4% when I can just go get it anyways, right? How many of you guys would think that? Check this out. Check this out. All right. So if we do that right there, sorry, I had a weird sound come through. All right, you guys can all still hear okay? Everything sounds good? All right, so here's what we're looking at. All right, so sorry guys, something went crazy with my volume. All right. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Something when my speakers and my computer started going crazy. All right. So here we go. So $25,000, 6% for 60 months. So you take that, you're going to borrow that money for 5 years, right? 60 months. That's a typical car loan at 6%. So you go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to take you up on it. However, your money's sitting over in the bank growing at 4% during that same amount of time. So here's what it looks like at the end of that amount of time. Your monthly payment is going to be $483 going in. So your future value of that money, $25,000 over 60 months, grows to be $29,000. However, check this out. Your money over here in the bank growing at 4% grows to over $30,000. So we actually, by taking the banker up on that offer, we thought the banker was doing us dirty, but at the end of the day, we actually made over $1,500 by paying 6% while our money was earning 4%. Do you guys know why that is? It's because of uninterrupted compounding interest. Our money on the over at the bank, our $25,000 was growing over that 5 years, compounding, and it grew to over $30,000. However, the money that we were paying 6% on was depreciating as those monthly payments were made. So even though we were paying a higher amount because of depreciating interest and simple interest, it only grew to be, or we only paid in and made it the banker $29,000. So we were able to, because of uninterrupted compounding interest, make $1,500 by paying 6% while our money earned 4%. And that's going to be very important as we talk here this evening, that you understand that right there. So here's the money multiplier method. It consists of 3 parts. We have the machine. We have the marathon. So the machine is the vehicle. The marathon means this is not a get rich quick scheme. It's going to take time. Okay. But if we use this machine the proper way, if we use this financial vehicle the proper way, and we are able to do this the right way, and we make this a marathon and understand that millionaires are typically not made overnight, except maybe in crypto, but then you got to keep it and maybe you lose it all. But it does require a marathon in most cases. You will become a millionaire and your family will become millionaires. And that's because this is a guaranteed product. And what I mean by that is what we use for this, for the machine, for this vehicle that we're running our money through, it's simply a dividend paying whole life insurance policy from a mutually owned insurance company. Okay. So what we're talking about here tonight is we're using a whole life insurance policy to create wealth, to funnel our money through and take advantage of uninterrupted compounding interest, to eliminate debts and expenses while creating wealth and creating ourselves becoming a millionaire. Okay. And the reason we use this vehicle, the reason we use a whole life insurance policy is because there's nothing else out there in the world that allows us to do what we do with this concept. There's nothing else out there in this country that the IRS says we're allowed to use the way that we use. Now, let me clarify something real fast. This is not a whole life insurance policy that your typical financial advisor or typical life insurance agent is going to sell you. Okay. This is a very specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy built specifically for becoming your own bank. So I want to make that very, very clear. 99% of agents out there do not know how to do this the right way. This is all the money multiplier does. This is all we do 100%. If you want a term policy or some IUL policy or some kind of other insurance, we don't do that. Just to be very, very clear, this is all that we do, our banking policies, and we're very, very good at it. So if you look at, the entire insurance space is like a doctor. You can go to your general doctor, your practitioner, but then if something's wrong with you, they're going to send you to a specialist. We are that specialist when it comes to life insurance and when it comes to becoming your own banker. So I just wanted to clarify that very, very clearly. And this is what we do. So you don't go to somebody else to get this policy done. You don't go to we do all of this for you. So not only do we help you design and find a perfect policy that fits your goals and your needs, but we also give you the support that you need to use this policy. We give you what we call the mapping that I'll talk about in a little bit to show you exactly what to do with this. So that's what this is. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So why, and something that I want you guys to check out is something called bank-owned life insurance. It's called BOLI, B-O-L-I. Write that down. So bank-owned life insurance, what that means, do you guys know the number one purchasers of whole life insurance in this country? Banks. It's called bank-owned life insurance. So banks are the number one purchasers of whole life insurance in the entire United States of America. Have you ever wondered why when you walk into a bank, everybody's a vice president? Everybody has these little name badges that say vice president on them. It's because by that person being a vice president, it allows the bank to purchase a policy on that individual. Why do banks purchase so much whole life insurance? What are the banks in the business of doing? Banks are in the business of money. Okay. Banks have two places where their assets and their money are. Okay. They're what's called their M1 money supply. Number one is whole life insurance, and number two is real estate. Think about where banks are located. So first off, let's just use a big bank like Wells Fargo. Is there one bank headquarters in New York City and that's it? No, there are Wells Fargos literally everywhere. Every major city in the country. What are the largest skyscrapers in every major city in the United States? Banks. Almost always the largest buildings are banks. They buy it, the real estate. They understand the value of it. Why are there branch offices everywhere? Because the banks buy the real estate to put those branch offices on, to bring people in, to take their money, to show you, to use that money that I'm going to show you in just a second. So banks are very, very, very smart and know how to make money. Would you guys agree with that? So why don't we just mimic what the banks do? So you'll see we talk a lot, and I'm going to talk about tonight, buying whole life insurance just like the banks do for ourselves, buying and taking advantage of real estate just like the banks do, but for ourselves. So instead of giving your money to banks, give your money to your own bank, become your own banker. Let me ask you this question one more way. If you owned a restaurant, where would you eat? If you owned a gym, where would you work out? If you owned a hair salon, where would you get your hair cut? At your own business, right? So if you owned your own bank, where would you put your money? At your own bank, right? So why don't you have your own bank yet? Because you've probably never been introduced to this stuff before. And when we create these whole life insurance policies, keep in mind, one of the reasons we're able to build them the way that we do and give you so much benefits and advantages when you start one of these policies you immediately have so much access to all of your money is because we take a huge commission hit. We lose about 60 to 80% of our typical commission on a life insurance policy to design them this way and give you all of access to that. So go talk to your financial advisor, your life insurance, and say, hey, if I taught you this strategy, but you have to take an 80% pay cut to teach it to your clients, are you interested? No, most advisors aren't going to do that, right? But that's what we do. And again, this is all we do all day, every single day. So just keep in mind, that's what this is all about. And that's what we're talking about. So just some people that have used this, I mentioned before, this is a strategy that's been around for hundreds of years. This is just some recent ones. You guys can Google this stuff and look it up. Jim Harbaugh, a large portion of his salary and his income from coaching at the University of Michigan as the head football coach is life insurance. Go check that out. Really cool article. You can read all about it. How about President Biden? He might not know where his money is right now, but his financial advisors tell us that a lot of his money and a lot of his wealth, he has multiple policies with Mass Mutual. You can see right on there. Biden also holds 4 checking accounts, 2 of which he shares with his wife. In addition, he holds 6 life insurance policies with Mass Mutual. So he has his wealth stored in here. Why? Because the rich understand this stuff. The wealthy understand this stuff. How about Walt Disney? Walt Disney started Disneyland not through traditional financing. He was declined. He was able to use his life insurance policy to initially fund Disneyland and launch what we now know as Disney, which has become here lately a lot of the news, but become a multi probably $1 trillion company, if I had to guess, worldwide company. A couple more. The Pampered Chef. This is a cool one. Using $3,000 she borrowed from a life insurance policy, home economist Doris Christophers started Pampered Chef in her suburban Chicago home in 1980. By 2002, the company had grown into a $700 million operation and was acquired by Warren Buffett for $1.5 billion. Today, the company boasts over 12 million customers. Started with an insurance policy for the funding out of her home. How about this one? McDonald's, Ray Kroc. And McDonald's is another great example of real estate and what they do. You guys know McDonald's is not in the business of flipping burgers. McDonald's is in the business of real estate. All the McDonald's across the entire world, they own that real estate. Why do you think there's, and not only that, McDonald's, when they were starting out, used to buy all the real estate around them. So there's a lot of McDonald's right here, Wendy's on this street corner, Burger King on this street corner. McDonald's doesn't care if they're there because McDonald's is leasing them the land that they're running those businesses on. McDonald's is huge in real estate, but also Ray Kroc was able to initially fund and start McDonald's thanks to whole life insurance. And not only that, but some of the wealthiest families in our country have been using this forever. So the JPs, the Morgans, the Chases, the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers. And this is all in these books that I was talking about earlier about the history of infinite banking. And it goes into more detail about some of these wealthy families and how they've used it. But just keep in mind, again, this is not a strategy. You have to make millions of dollars or be a high net worth individual. You can be 20 years old, just out of college, putting a couple $100s a month away, and we can run it through this system and start generating this wealth. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where your resources are right now. It's how resourceful you can be, taking advantage of strategies and systems like this right here. So to understand why we're making the banks and why we want to become our own bank, you got to understand how banks operate. Okay. So I'm not going to get too much into like fractional reserve banking, what the Fed's done and the central banks and things like that right now, but just your normal traditional bank, Wells Fargo bank at the corner. This is what happens. So let's say you got $100,000. So typically most people, if they had $100,000, what are you going to do with it? You're going to go down to your local bank and you're going to deposit into your checking or savings account. Now, when you go do that, what do you think the bank does with your money? Do you think they take that $100,000 and they stick it in a safe and they say, hey, guess what, Stephen? It's nice and safe. It's in a safe here at the bank. It's in the vault. And we got your name on it. We put your name on all the bills. And whenever you want it, just come on back and we'll give it back to you. Do you think they do that with your cash? No, they don't do that. They take that money and they start moving it. So here's what they do. And by the way, the numbers that I'm showing you here right now are irrelevant. Whether your savings account is paying you 4% or whether your savings account is paying you 0.1% or whether a home loan is 7% or whether a home loan is 4%, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The numbers don't matter, but the process is the same and the spreads are the same. So this is exactly how it works. And actually home mortgages, we're getting back up to 7% right now, which is pretty wild. It's happening quick. I don't know what's going to happen when the Fed comes out in a couple of weeks and announces a 0.5 point increase. But anyways, so you go to the bank. The bank's paying you 4% of that money, but they don't let it sit. They take that money, they immediately start loaning it out. So then, okay, so here's what happens. So you go to the bank, a month later and you say, hey, bank, Mr. Banker, I would like to buy a home. So they give you a loan on that home and they charge you 7% interest on that mortgage. Then you take that money, $100,000, however much it is, you give it to the seller of that home. Then what does the seller do with the money? They take that money and they put it right back where? At the bank. Then a couple, now that you own the new house with the garage, you say, okay, now that I got a garage, I would love to buy a new car. So you say, okay, you go back to the bank and say, Mr. Banker, I'd like to buy a car. I need a car loan. The bank says, no problem. We'll give you a car loan. Here's an 8% interest rate on that car. You take the money, you go down to the car dealer and you give the money to the car dealer. They take that money and they do what with it? They put it right back to the bank. And then another couple of years go by and you say, okay, now I've been living in the house for a while. I would love to rehab this house. I would love to fix it up. So you go get a home remodel loan. So the bank says, no problem. Here's a home remodel loan. You give that money to all the contractors. The contractors take that money, they put it right back in the bank. Then you get yourself in some financial trouble. You say, okay, I need a debts consolidation loan. Take that money, give it to the credit card companies. They put it right back at the bank. So what have we done right here? We've taken this money that they're paying us 4% on, and now the bank starts making what's called a spread. So if you're paying 4% and you're growing your money at 12%, you're making an 8% spread. That's profit, right? So this is what the bank's doing. The bank's making a 3% spread there. The bank's making a 4% spread on the car. The bank's making a 5% spread on the home remodel. The bank's making a 8% spread on that debt consolidation loan. So the bank just made 20% on your money while they pay you 4%. Do you guys agree with that? Or let me ask this question. How much did the bank just make on your money? On your $100,000, when it's sitting there paying you 4% of your savings account, by them constantly moving the money, how much did the bank actually just make on your money? How much? Put it in the chat box. Is it 20% or what's the real number? Oh, Eric said it. Love it. So Eric got it even before I was done. Maybe you saw this before. We're all real close. In this case right here with 4% and then making 20%, they actually just made 500% on your money. Because we take 4% and times it by 5 to get us 20%. That's 500% that they just made on your money. Ricky, yeah, absolutely. You got it right. So 500% the bank just made on your money. And don't take my word for this, guys. This is the way that this is what banks do. This is what they do all day, every day. This is what you're going to start doing, being your own bank with your policy or money. We're keeping the money moving. Remember, I opened up with that. But if you guys don't believe me, go after this to BauerFinancial.com. Write that down. BAUER Financial, BauerFinancial.com. And you can look this stuff up. And they can show you exactly what the banks are doing, all about the banks, how they do this and all that stuff. But they tell you the banks make between 400 and 1,300% on every dollar that you leave at that bank. So my challenge to every single one of you from this point forward is stop putting your money in the banks and making the bankers wealthy, rich a-holes. Okay? Make yourself a wealthy, rich, good person. Once you make money, go out there and actually do well with it, but start making money for yourself. Stop making these people wealthy and start making yourself wealthy. Do you guys will you guys commit me to me that you'll do that? Talk with me, schedule a call with me. Let's talk about the situation, but every one of you should challenge yourselves. How much money can you stop giving to the banks and start putting in your own bank? And I promise you, when you start challenging yourself with this stuff, it becomes fun. Because when you open up these policies, one of the little caveats with it, which we'll talk about later on the call, is you're going to eventually have to open up more policies. So we call this stacking. This is building your banking system, okay? So Chris Noggle, I think, is 12 of these now. I'm just in the process of getting my third and my fourth one starting here in a couple months. My fourth will be in a couple months. My third starting right now. Brent Kessler is at 22 policies now, I believe. Devin's at 9 policies. It almost becomes a challenge where we're all trying to like push ourselves to get. So anyways, bottom line is it becomes a lot of fun. So I challenge every single one of you. See how much you can stop giving to the banks, start putting in your own banks. All right, here we go. Let's move on. All right. So this is the pattern of spending. This is how you're going to start challenging yourself. This is how you start evaluating where's your money going now and how can we stop giving it to the banks and start putting it into our own bank. This is important right now. So think about this very hard. Watch this closely. All right. So when we take $1, this is how most people spend their money. This is 95% of people, how they spend their money. So if you take $1, 20 cents of that dollar, 20 cents of every single dollar that you earn is going to an automobile. So whether it's a car payment, a gas, with gas right now, maybe it's $1.10, right? But on average, 20 cents of every dollar is going to an automobile. 30 cents of every dollar that you earn is going towards housing. So whether it's a mortgage, insurance, taxes, maintenance, or if you're just renting, then all of it's going towards just the rent. But 30 cents of every dollar on average is going towards housing, which means 40 cents of every dollar that we earn goes to everything else. So things like travel, entertainment, food, kids, just everyday expenses, right? Your cell phone and everything else that is out there. So 40 cents of every dollar goes to everything else, which leaves us with 10 cents is going to savings. So this was a few years ago where the average savings rate in this country was 10%. I actually think it dropped a lot. And then during COVID, it kind of went back up a little bit. And now I think it's really dropping again. But on average, over time, 10% of every dollar that we earn is going to go towards savings. Now, like I mentioned earlier, most financial advisors, what I used to have to do is if we want to increase the savings, we either need to drastically change the way we're spending now on the automobiles, the housing, and everything else, so we have more for savings. Or what's the other way to grow your money? Investing by taking on to get higher returns, we have to have higher risk, right? So we either have to change what we're doing now or take on a lot more risk. That's the only way, traditionally speaking, to increase that little savings pile right there. But I'm not going to talk to you about that stuff, because I want to take some of the money you're spending on all that other stuff and move that into the savings category without changing what you're already doing, without changing your cash flow, without losing control of your money, and without taking on any more risk. So let me show you exactly how we're going to do that. So check it out. This is what it would look like if we moved all of the interest that we're currently giving to other people into that savings bucket. All right. So watch this. This is exactly what this concept right here is all about. So if we take that automobile, 20 cents of every dollar to that automobile, on average, 5 cents of that 20 cents goes to interest. So on average of your overall automobile money going to that, 5 of that 20 cents is going to interest. So all we're going to simply do is we're going to take that interest that we were giving to other people prior, and we're going to put that into our savings pile. So by making that one change right there, we increased our savings on every single dollar by 50%, because we were saving 10% before by moving 5 cents, or 10 cents before by moving 5 cents into savings. Now we're up to 15 cents. So by just making that one little change on how we buy our cars, which I'll show you exactly how to do this in a second, we now increased our savings by 50 cents without changing anything else. All right. So let's keep going with this. On average for housing, get this. Let me ask you guys this question. When you start a mortgage, on average, how much interest is paid? Well, let me ask it this way. How long does it take for the majority of interest on a mortgage to be paid? And let me tell you this answer. In 92% of all interest on a 30-year mortgage is paid in the first 7 years. Yep, Michael, 7 years. So think about this for a minute. Do you guys know the average that an American keeps a mortgage? Would you believe me if I told you the average in this country is 7 years? And on average, every 7 years, somebody will either sell a house and move into a new one and get a new mortgage. They'll refinance a house, which creates them getting a new mortgage. And they'll do something, though, that will create a new mortgage every 7 years. Do you think there's a reason that the banks collect their money, over 90% of their interest within that 7-year time frame? Do you think that there's a reason that interest rates vary up and down, and that they kind of push refinancing and things and moving and stuff like that about every 7 years? They got this stuff down to a science, guys. So what that means for us is over 80% of your total house payment is going to go towards interest during those 7 years, over 90% really, but on average 80%. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to take that money and we're going to move that into our savings pile. So for every 30 cents, 25% is now going to go into our savings. And then when it comes to everything else, about 5 cents of every 40 cents of everything else goes to interest. So we're going to take that 5 cents, we're going to put that into our savings pile. So what we were just able to accomplish by not changing anything else is we were able to increase our savings. Oh, you guys get the idea. We were able to increase our savings by 50%, over 50% of every dollar we're spending is now going to our savings instead of to other people without changing anything else in our life except where our money is going first. And we're putting it into our bank instead of everybody else's banks. That's what this concept is really all about. So I mentioned a second ago about the car, right? So how would you guys like if you could get all the money back for every car you'll ever buy, drive, and own? And this is easy, guys. This is easy. Let me show you exactly how we're going to do this. So when we start talking about how to use this whole life policy and this vehicle to create wealth, we need to understand a little bit about how it works. So let's take a quick look under the hood of what one of these policies looks like. So when we do that call, when we talk with each other, we're going to talk about your goals, how much you want to fund the policy with, what makes sense for you, things like that. And then we're going to design your policy and create what's called an illustration. An illustration is going to look like this that's on the screen right here. It's going to show you a lot of the numbers. And this is actually a map, but an illustration I'll show you in a minute, but it shows you all the numbers. So it shows you the year of the policy, how old you are. It's going to show you all the money going into the policy, how much cash value is available, which the cash value is what we're pulling out to use. It's going to show you the death benefit. The death benefit's irrelevant for what we do with banking, but just know there is a nice death benefit that's on there. PFF, that's actually a good question. I'm sure it has a meaning, but it should say TMM, the money multiplier, the infinite banking account. I don't know what PFF would mean. I'll actually have to figure that out. Sorry, Marcia, I don't know the answer to that. But essentially, the cash value is the amount of money, like I was saying before, that we have available to pull out to use for banking purposes. So we'll talk more about that, but I just want to show you real quick what this kind of looks like. So in this case, buying a car, it's going to show us the money going into the policy. It's going to show us the recycle and recapture of it. So let me show you what all this means. So when we put money into one of our policies, an insurance policy, a life insurance policy, historically, we think of it as a premium. So as you learn more and more about infinite banking and financial education, and we go back to kind of rewiring the way that our brains work, we're going to understand real quickly that the premiums going into this thing are not premiums because premiums have a negative connotation, right? The money going into this policy are deposits. Just like if we went to the bank to deposit money into our savings or checking account, that's a deposit. That's not a premium, even though the bank's making a bunch of money off of us. It's a deposit. It's the same thing. When we pay money into our insurance policy, it's technically a premium, but because it's a banking policy, it's now a deposit. So you're gonna hear us refer to this as deposits, and I want you guys to think about that as we go. And I think actually, who asked that? Fulani in the chat box said, "I'm almost 45. Is it too late for me?" No. So age does. That's amazing. You asked that question right as it was popping up on the screen. So age does not matter. I just started a policy for somebody, and their son was just born like a week prior. I think they're on here right now. Actually, we started a policy with them within like a month of the child being born. I started a policy for my son last year when he was 5 years old. I have clients that are in their 70s. So the age doesn't matter. Health doesn't necessarily matter either because we have ways around it. And if you are over past your 70s, or if you're just in terrible health and or not even terrible health, but if you have a health condition that you can't qualify for life insurance, we do have options for you and ways that we can get around that. So just schedule a call with me and you could still do everything that I'm teaching you here tonight. Everything is going to be the same. we're just going to use somebody else's life. So I could talk to you about how we do that, but it's very, very simple. And we do it for people all day, every day. So don't worry about the qualification part of it, the age, the health. Let's talk about it, because the death benefit, again, doesn't really matter. It is there. It is a tax-free death benefit for your beneficiaries down the road. But that's not why we do these policies. All right. So let's hop into this. Yeah, and Jonathan was asking, so this example right here, I'm showing you how to buy a $25,000 car. The money doesn't matter. We have YouTube videos where Chris is showing how he's bought, almost $100,000 Maserati. I think he has a Maserati right now or something that he did just for the example, but whatever it is, the money doesn't matter. You can buy a $250,000 Lambo with this concept. You just have to add a zero. So the numbers are irrelevant. It works for anything. The spreads are the same. So in this example right here, what we're doing is we designed a $10,000 policy. What that means is this person is depositing $10,000 a year into this whole life insurance policy. So over here on the right side is the cash value. Now, let me just clarify something real fast. The policies that we design now, this presentation is like 5, 6, 7 years old. The policies that we design now are much stronger. There was just some rule changes. The IRS made some rule changes in 2022 at the beginning of this year that actually allow us to build much stronger policies for what we do. So we actually are able to, and go figure, right? The IRS changed something that made strategies that the wealthy use more advantageous, but we take advantage of it too. So the policies we build now are a lot stronger than what I'm showing you, but something you'll realize with our organization, with the Money School and Money Multiplier, everything that we do, we under promise and over deliver. So this example I'm showing you right here is kind of like a worst case scenario. Your real world way of using this and buying cars with it is much better and much more powerful. So just wanted to mention that, but you can see how well this even works, even with an older policy that doesn't even work, that doesn't even grow as strong and have cash value like we have right now. So the cash value nonetheless is the amount of money that you have available to pull back out to use to purchase this car. Okay. And when I say pull back out of the policy, just to clarify, we are taking a loan from the policy. So our money goes in and then we're taking a loan from the policy. And that way it allows our money to remain in the policy and compound and grow uninterrupted for the rest of our lives, even when we pull all this money out of the policy. All right. So let me show you this. And yeah, the deposit amount doesn't work. We can put in a very large upfront deposit and then a smaller amount ongoing annually. This, guys, when it comes to the funding of these policies, just schedule a call with me. I can literally do almost anything for you. Whatever you want to accomplish with this thing financially for the funding, I'll either tell you it can't be done, or odds are I'll tell you we can definitely do it, and let's let it roll. So just email me. I'll send you my call link. John, yeah, that's right. What you're saying right there, I actually have an example of that. I'll show you in just a minute exactly what that looks like. And it's awesome, John. So give me a few more minutes, John. I'm going to show you that exact example in just a second here. It's funny you say that because we actually do have that example. All right. So 10,000 going in. All right. So in the third year of this policy, this person decided they wanted to purchase a $25,000 car. So what they did is they took the money out of the policy. And you can see when they took that $25,000 out, it reduced the cash value to $4,204 that year. Now, if you were to go to the bank or the car finance company and buy a car, and they gave you $25,000, you would pay back that bank, right? So if we do the math here, it's going to be about $500 a month, which would be about $6,000 a year. So just like the bank, we're going to treat our bank money, our money, just like we treat the bank's money. So when we take a loan, we're going to pay our bank back the exact same way. So in this case right here, we're paying our bank back $500 a month, $6,000 a year. So at the end of 7 years, we put $70,000 of premium deposits into this policy. We took $25,000 out of this policy, and then we paid ourselves back, just like we would pay back any other bank, $30,000 back into the policy. So at the end of 7 years, we put a total of $100,000 into this policy. However, like I mentioned, we took $25,000 out of the policy. So it left us was $75,000 that we injected into this policy. Now, you'll see at the end of 7 years, we've injected $75,000 in, and our cash value in our policy has grown to be $67,881. So that means that we purchased a $25,000 car. We have it sitting there in our driveway, completely paid for, and we still have $67,881 back in our bank account, ready to go for whatever we want to use it for next time. So what we were just able to accomplish, we were just able to get back 91% of the money that we used to purchase that car. So in a typical scenario, for instance, if you were to go buy a car for $25,000, you now would own that vehicle and be sitting in your driveway, but that $25,000 was gone. Even if we pay ourselves back, we now have $5,000. So what we were able to accomplish was getting back 91% of every dollar we paid for that car. However, what I said earlier was we were going to get back 100%, all of the money that we ever used to buy cars and that we drive into the future, right? So let me show you this, because it doesn't stop here. It keeps going, right? So in this case right here, it keeps going. However, in this case, we stopped putting money into this policy in year 8. Now, in reality, you would never do that, okay? You're going to continue to fund your own bank, because why would you ever stop? And you'll see that when you see how these things compound and grow. You're going to wish you could put more money in, not less money or no money. But for this example right here, I just wanted to show you how this works. So in year 8, we stop putting premium deposits into this thing. However, we go out and we take another $25,000 loan to buy another car. So our cash value goes to $51,000. And just like before, if we borrow money from the bank, we're going to pay ourselves back. So over the course of those 5 years, we put no deposits in, but we did inject another $30,000 into this banking system. So we put $30,000 in, we took $25,000 out. We have 2 cars sitting in our driveway now. And how much do we have now in our account? $91,000 is what's now available in our quote unquote savings account, in our banking account, in our own bank account. So check this out. From the 8th year to the 12th year, the policy grew from $67,000 to $91,000. It grew by $23,000. We only injected $5,000 into this policy. We now have 2 cars sitting there in our driveway, completely paid for, and we got back all of the money for both of those cars that we bought. And it doesn't stop there. It just keeps on going and going and going. So we've now been able to recoup all of that money and create a system that's going to continue to compound and grow. So when we do it with the next car, it pays for itself even quicker and faster. So keep in mind, guys, what I'm showing you right here, and when it comes to banking, there's 3 rules that we want to follow to make this work. So it's rule number 1, rule number 2, and rule number 3, and I'll show them to you right here. We always want to pay ourselves first. Okay, and I talk to people all the time about this. Instead of giving everybody else all your money first, pay yourself first. Let's, instead of paying all that interest to other people, let's get that money into our policy first. You always want to pay yourself first. You always want to pay yourself with interest. Just like a bank, you always want to pay yourself back with interest. Treat your money just like the bank's money. And then number 3, always recycle and recapture money. Okay. We know, as Nelson Nash says, if you read the book, we never want to steal the peas from the kitchen. So we're going to pay ourselves first. We're going to pay ourselves with interest, and we're going to recycle and recapture all of that lost interest and money we were given to other people back into our financial lives that ultimately will go to our families, our loved ones, and our beneficiaries tax-free down the line. And if you follow those 3 rules, you will have a successful system, and we will be there to teach you and show you how to do all of this. Also along the way, which I'll show you in a minute, is called our mapping system. But if this works for a car, what else would it work for? Boats, airplanes, businesses. What else would it work for? What else could you use this thing for? So check this out. Here's a very powerful example on how we can eliminate debt while saving and building wealth, and eliminate that debt very, very quickly. Because if anybody has debt right now, whether it's good debt, bad debt, debt that's out there. You have a lot of interest right now that's going to other people. So let me show you how to take that back. Like I showed you with that dollar bill, let me show you exactly how to start taking that back, recycle and recapture that into your financial life. This is an awesome example. Check this out, guys. So this is actually a real example too. This was a client of Brent's. This guy was a chiropractor. He had $478,000 in debt. And he said, that's a lot of debt. So he said, all right, what he was paying out each month, if you do the math on this, the monthly payments on this debt, he was paying out $5,777 a month in debt, third-party debt. A total of almost $70,000 a year was going to other people. Now, this chiropractor is making good money. He's making great income. He had a great lifestyle. He's doing a lot of cool things, but that's a lot of money going to other people, right? So he said, enough is enough. Let's get rid of this and let's start keeping it in my own financial life. So we did the math on this. If he was to pay all of this debt off as planned, it would take him 19 years. Nobody wants to take 19 years to go debt-free, right? So we said, all right, let's show you how to do it much, much, much quicker than 19 years. So what this guy did, this chiropractor, is he started a policy doing $25,000 a year into it. So $25,000 goes into this policy in year one, and his cash value in year one was right at $15,000. So we took that $15,000 out immediately. Again, this cash value is immediately available. You put $25,000 in within 30 days is what we mean by immediately. Within 30 days, that money's right back out in your control that you can deploy it to use it to pay off debt, to buy cars, to invest and grow wealth into your business, whatever you want to do. In this case, we took it out immediately and we deployed it immediately to pay off this debt. So we took the $15,000, we immediately paid off the Discover card and the Lowe's card. And then we reduced the balance on the Nordstrom card just a little bit. So what we were able to do right there, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, is we were able to take that $5,900 a month and lower that. So now he's paying $53.29 to other people, to third-party debtors. And now, just like I showed you with that dollar bill, we're recycling and recapturing the interest that we were giving to other people back into our system, because that $161 right there, that $287 that previously was going to Discover Card and Lowe's, all we're doing is by paying that off, we're no longer giving that monthly payment to Discover and Lowe's. What are we doing with that monthly payment? We're paying it to ourselves. We're paying it back to our bank. Okay. So instead of that $448 going to other people, it's now coming back to us. So we don't just stop paying it off and stop paying it. We pay it off, but we continue paying it back to ourselves. Does that make sense to you guys? So let me show you how this works on a large scale. Second year, $25,000 goes into the policy. In the second year, he has $16,500 of that $25,000 available. You'll notice each year you put into the policy, deposit money into the policy, the amount immediately you have available is more and more. And that's because the policy starts compounding, uninterrupted compounding interest. So it starts compounding. So each year you own this whole life insurance policy, it becomes more and more efficient. And every year you put money into it, you're able to pull more and more money out of it. And it becomes exponentially stronger and stronger because of uninterrupted compounding interest. So you'll see that as we go with these examples, how each year you have more and more and more available every year for the rest of your life. So in this case, the second year, $16,000 available. Payments of $5,374. So what that payments of $5,374 was that money that we were giving to Discover and Lowe's that reset capturing back to ourselves. All that money's now into our banking system. So we now have the cash value available. We now have the payments that we recaptured available for a total cash of $22,000. So we take that $22,000, we pay off Nordstrom, Wells Fargo, and the private loan. Now, again, that 276, 271, and 922 that was going to these guys, what do we do with that money? We keep paying it, but we pay it back to ourselves. So you'll see at the bottom of the screen, we now have $3,800 going to third-party debtors. We now have $1,900 a month coming back to us. Third year of the policy, $25,000 goes in the policy. Now we have just over $25,000 available. and $23,000 of recaptured payments for a total cash of $48,000 that we can deploy to pay off more debt. So we take that BMW, we take that West Marine, we lower the balance on that condo. Now you notice on a condo or on a mortgage, when you lower the balance, does your monthly payment go down? No, right? The monthly mortgage payment remains the same no matter what the balance is. So you'll notice on this example right here, your monthly payments on the BMW West Marine we're able to recapture, but the condo payment is still going to the condo mortgage. We can't recapture any of that yet. All we can do is lower the balance on that thing. But we can recycle and recapture that money from the BMW and West Marine. So now we have $3,600 going to us and $2,100 going to other people. Now, let me just make sure that everybody's following here right now. So far, we put $75,000 in deposits into this policy, right? We took out loans of $14,000, $16,000, and $25,000 for a total of $55,000 over the first 3 years. So how much money is left in the policy? 20,000? What do you guys think? 20,000? Put 75 in, took 25,000 or 55,000 out. Very good, Todd. Todd's paying attention. You still have $75,000 in that policy. Remember before what I said, when you put the money in your bank, you have uninterrupted compounding interest. The way we're able to do that is because when we pull that money out of our policy to use it, we're not taking our money out. We're leaving our money in the policy and we're borrowing money from the insurance company's general account. And we're using our policy as the collateral for that loan. Now, when we take the loans from the policy from the insurance company, keep in mind, we're the banker, so there's no terms. The insurance company doesn't care how we pay that money back, okay? Because the insurance company, all they're going to do if we were to pass away is whatever outstanding loan money that we have out of the policy at the time, they simply reduce that from the death benefit before they pay that death benefit out to your beneficiaries. So they don't care. So the terms, when I pull that $55,000 out of the policy, how or when or if I ever pay that loan back is completely up to me. I'm the banker and I'm in control. So I set the terms and I set how it works. So keep that in mind as we go. So the full 75 is still in there, compounding and growing, even when you're pulling all that money out of there. All right. So in the fourth year of this policy, 25,000 goes in, 26,000 available, total cash is 70,000. We take that, we pay down the condo. Year 5, 25,000 goes in, 27,000 available. Now we got enough to pay off that condo. So we eliminate that condo payment. We keep paying it back to ourselves. Now check this out. In this example, this policy that he originally started, at year 6, the amount that he's putting into it dropped. So in year 6 of this policy, this chiropractor was only able to put $10,000 instead of 25. And this is because of the policy design and something called MEC rules. The IRS governs these, so we have to apply by it. So when we design policies now, typically the amount that you're putting in is going to drop sometime in a year around like 7 to 10, and then the amount's going to drop. In this case, it dropped in year 6. So instead of 25, he was able to put 10,000 in that year. However, he wanted to keep putting more money into the policy. He loved the way this works. He understands the power of it. He's starting to clear up some money, so he's able to put more money in. So this is what I was talking about earlier with stacking policies, right? Whenever you're ready to put more money in, you just open up additional policies. So the chiropractor opened a second policy where he puts 25,000 a year in. Now in policy 1, 10,000 a year is going in, and policy 2, $25,000 a year is going in for a total of 35,000. However, on that first policy, he puts 10,000 in. Like I said before, the policy becomes more and more efficient every single year. So that year he puts $10,000 in, he has $13,000 available to pull back out. 30% cash on cash return in the 6th year of this baby. But on the second policy, it's starting back over, right? It takes time for it to become efficient. So in the second policy, he puts 25,000 in year 1 of that policy, and almost 15,000 is available to pull out for the loan. Nonetheless, including the recycle and recaptured payments, we have total cash value of 82,000. So in year 6 of this policy, we're able to eliminate all of the third-party debt. We now have no interest and money going to other people, and all of that money that we were previously giving out, $5,800 a month, almost $60,000 a year, instead of giving other people, is now coming back into our bank and our financial lives for us and our families. And if you guys liked how we did that right there and eliminated that debt, we will do it for every single one of you as well, free of charge. Okay. So we understand the value of a roadmap. We understand the value of a GPS. What I've always called this for a long time now, a financial GPS. Because just like driving down the road, I could drive up to visit Chris in Buffalo, New York right now. And I know I'm in South Florida. All I have to do is drive north. I'll eventually get there somewhere, right? Or I could plug it into my GPS and it'll show me the fastest way to get there. Well, just like driving somewhere, your money and your investing and finances are the same thing. If you know where you are today and you know where you want to get to, well, let's create that roadmap to get you there in the quickest way possible. And we do that through what's called our mapping team. So those of you that start policies with us, part of being a client for us is ongoing support and training, but also mapping. So as soon as you start a policy, our mapping team is going to reach out to you and they're going to say, hey, what do you want to do with this policy? Do you want to use it to pay off debt? Okay, awesome. Let's do a cash flow analysis. Let's look at all of your expenses and all of your debt that you have right now. And let's create that plan that I just showed you right there to pay off all that debt in the quickest way possible through your debt map. Or you want to use it to buy a car. Well, let's create the plan to use the policy to that. You want to use it for business, for investing. Well, let's use banking principles to be able to do that. So the mapping team will help you not only initially, but they're going to meet with you ongoing as needed. And they check on you every 3 to 4 months. They're going to actually reach out to you and say, hey, how are things going? It's time to update your map. Let's set up an appointment to talk through that. So we're right there holding your hand and teaching you how to do that. And we don't charge for any of that. You never will pay us a dime. We make our money, even though it's a reduced commission, nonetheless, we make our money through commissions from the insurance company. The insurance company pays us a direct commission for bringing them the business. And that allows us to do all of this stuff for you free of charge. You'll never pay us a dime. So if you guys like that idea. And then we get to the millionaire, because the question becomes, what if I have no bad debt? What if I don't need a new car? Can I still benefit from this? Should I still become my own banker? And the answer is a resounding hell yeah. And that's really where the fun begins, because that's where we can start building wealth. And that's where we can really start talking about creating a legacy. And at the end of the day, that's what this stuff's, in my eyes, is really all about. Yeah, let's get rid of the debt. Let's use it to buy cars and have some fun and things like that. But building wealth and investing, to me, is a lot of fun. And this is what we do, guys. So different ways to build wealth using this policy. And this is all we do all day, every day. Real estate investors. So if you're flippers, they love these policies because you get windfalls from deals. You have money sitting for a little bit between deals. And even when you put your money into a deal, you don't want it to stop compounding and growing. You want it to keep growing tax-free. So have it in the policy, pull it out for the deals, do your deals, but don't let the money sit. So this allows you to do that. Those of you that have rental properties, those of you that do private money lending, maybe you want to get into real estate, but you don't want to actively do it. Well, lend your money. That's why we have the private money club. Put your money in the policy, lend it out. I'll show you an example of that in just a minute. Even if you're doing notes, crypto, stocks, business owners, this is all stuff you can use from doing the policy. I mean, those of you that are business owners, we don't use the policies all the time for business. So what we do is we pull the money from the policy and then we lend the money to our business. The business uses it as needed. The business pays me back that loan. So the business gets a nice little tax deduction for loan interest. The money comes right back to me and right back to my policy. And it never stopped compounding and growing the entire time. So we can use this a million different ways. Just wanted to throw out some different ways that I'm currently using it myself. So 2 laws for creating growing wealth: compounding interest, the 8th wonder of the world, according to Einstein. Those who understand it, use it. Those who don't, pay it. How uninterrupted compounding interest? How about uninterrupted compounding interest for the rest of your life? And that's exactly what this accomplishes. Number two, money movement and flow. I said this earlier, money sitting still is losing money. Money in motion is making more money. And that's what this is all about. So I wanted to give an example of using this in a private money lending capacity. So this is, I mentioned earlier, that illustration that you're going to receive when you start a policy that shows you all your numbers. So this is a policy I did for a lady. She was 41 years old, a female. Just did this a few months ago. So 150,000 going in up front, and then $50,000 a year. You can see in year 11, it drops down, but right up front, 132,000 available, 50,000. You can see how this thing just compounds and grows. It's pretty great. Here's another example of an illustration. I mean, somebody was asking me this earlier, but so this was when we actually did a $50,000 dump in. And then what they did with this one is they did $500 a month, $491 a month. So right at almost $6,000 a year. So by the way, guys, you can pay into this thing monthly, quarterly, biannually, all up front each year. That's completely up to you. You can do a dump in like this or not. If you're 30 years old, just start putting $300 a month in. If you got some money sitting around, dump in 10 grand, dump in 50 grand, whatever it is, but just tell me what you want to do and I'll make it work for you. But this policy right here was $50,000 dump in and then $500 a month, which is pretty cool. In year 2 of this policy, they were already at 121% access to their cash. So what they had put in to what they're able to borrow back out is 121%. And you can see how this thing just grows and grows and grows. I mean, 10 years of using this thing nonstop and keeping the money moving. And they still have over 154% access to the money that they had put in, plus whatever else they've done with it. This is just the uninterrupted compounding interest aspect of it. So this is just an example real quick of how money flows. So you can see the money comes from the policy. In this case, it was a $23,000 loan. So when you borrow the money from the insurance company, you do pay the insurance company typically 3 to 4 to 5%, depending on the company. And then what we're doing is we're lending our money out at 12%. Remember, the money's in the policy compounding at 5-6%. So we're loaning it at 3 or 4 simple interest. It's compounding at 5 or 6 compounding interest. But in this case right here, we borrowed at 23,000, did a private money loan at 12%. So that monthly interest coming back in is the profit. And our profit is the spread between the 12% and the 4%. So we made an 8% profit on this deal. So that's our profit. And then the rest of that goes back into the policy. So we can do it over and over again. So this is just a quick example of what that looks like. And the Private Money Club is just a way that we do it. So the Private Money Club is a platform that we have that connects borrowers and lenders and borrowers. So you can do deals like this, but you can run the money through again earlier that I'll show you anything, no matter what you're doing. This is just a quick example. So you guys want to see one example of using this for private money lending? Do we have an extra 5 minutes? I know I'm already going long. Do you guys want to see a private money lending deal real fast before we wrap up? And if you got to hop off, I will send out the recording for this. You guys can find me on Facebook, Stephen Nagy, and then I'll put my email in one more time. Just email me. I'll send you some resources. I'll send you some free digital ebooks, and I'll send you my calendar to schedule a call. All right, enough people want to see it. If you got to hop off, no worries. We're going to wrap up anyways, but check this out. So this is a real example too. So this was the policy I just showed you guys, 150 the first year, 50,000. So check out how this thing works. I'm going to give you an example of using this policy in the 8th year. Okay. So let's just pretend that you started this thing 8 years ago. You've been using it those whole 8 years. It's compounding, it's growing for you. So now you're ready in the 8th year to do some private money lending. So in the 8th year of this thing, first off, let me show you this. They put $48,000 into this policy in the 8th year. The policy grew, however, when they put that money in there by over $66,000. So in the 8th year of this policy, there was what's called a $37,000 cash on cash return on the money, meaning when this young lady put $48,000 into her bank, she immediately profited $18,000 essentially, tax-free. So you can do the taxable equivalent of that without doing any work, without taking on any risk, without doing anything different with her money, just where that money flows first. So immediately $18,000 growth on her money. She then said, okay, I'm going to do some private money lending. So she went to the private money club, found a 12% deal, and did that deal. So when I created this example, this is a Lafayette Life Insurance Company policy, and Lafayette Life, if you take loans directly from them, are 5%. So for this example, they pulled 12%. They made 12% in the private money deal. They made 37% on the money within the policy. They paid 5% interest to borrow that money. So they made a 44% return on their money by simply putting the money in the policy that takes no time and doing a private money deal that takes an hour, 2 hours. You guys tell me how long a private money deal takes, a couple hours. So they made a 44% return on their money by doing a couple hours worth of work. Are you guys okay with that? And keep in mind, we did nothing different except where our money goes first. So let me ask you this. If they had just done a private money deal, they would have made 12%. By doing a private money deal using their policy, they made 44%. So which would you rather make? 12% or 44% on your money? Be your own banker. Do you guys see why we do this? So a couple things I did mention. The death benefit. I mean, it's not why we do this, but I mean, look at that death benefit over there. At 55 years old, it's 1.8 million. And you can see how it increases over time. It just goes higher and higher and higher and higher every year for the rest of that person's life. And this is a whole life insurance policy, meaning they'll honor it if you live to be 120 years old. It's going to get a tax-free payout to your beneficiaries. I did mention loans don't have to be repaid. The internal growth is tax-free. These policies, another nice part about them, there's a lot of inherent asset protection built in. So in most states and in most situations, debtors, creditors, judgments, bankruptcies, things like that, they cannot come after your life insurance policy. Business uses, kids policies. I mentioned kids policies. When you see, oh, I can do that. If anybody emails me, I'll send you a copy of an example of what a kids policy looks like that Chris created. It's awesome what you can do with these things for kids. Or ask me on the phone call. When you guys schedule a call, let me know and I can tell you more about that. So like I mentioned before, do what the wealthy do what the banks do. None of this stuff should be an excuse anymore. All of that we can overcome with these strategies, with this system. Do what Warren Buffett says. If poor people would just do what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. He makes things so simple, right? What else does Warren say? He says, buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. So easy. So think to yourselves, am I better off with this policy when I'm alive? And am I better off with or without it when I pass away? So with that being said, that's the conclusion to the Money Multiplier Infinite Banking System presentation. So those of you that want to connect and set up a phone call and get those bonuses, just send me an email right there, snaggy@themoneymultiplier.com. That is my cell phone right there as well. So please no prank calls or anything like that. But send me a text message. I get lots of phone calls that I don't always answer, but send me a text message. But thanks for joining me here this evening, guys. Hopefully you guys got something out of that. I do see a couple questions here. I'll hit real fast. I'll stop the recording for that. But thanks for being here, and we will see you guys on the next one. See you guys tomorrow on the Wealth webinars.